Welcome to the first ever Saps Sports News. This will be a weekly segment where I just talk hockey and I'll try to make you laugh in the process. Usually I'll go over the news for the past week, but since this is the first episode, I'll talk about some news that's gone on over the last couple of weeks. I'm so excited for this journey and I'm happy to bring you guys along with me. Let's jump into it. Today is Tuesday. There were some elimination games yesterday, therefore I wanted to wait until today. Let's get into it. The Tampa Bay Lightning eliminated the Boston Bruins in 5 games and go on to their 4th Eastern Conference Finals in 6 years. The Bolts, on the back of Kucherov, Vasilevsky, and Hedman, are looking dangerous heading into the Eastern Conference Finals. The Bruins just did not have it this postseason. They didn't look like the big bad Bruins. Their bottom 6 wasn't that deep, and their whole team was not disciplined. And when you give a team like Tampa Bay that many power plays, they're gonna capitalize on most of them. And that's exactly what happened. Tampa Bay completely outscored Boston this series. And let's be real, Yaroslav Halak just isn't what he used to be. It's difficult for a guy that age, who's done what he's done his whole career, to be able to really tune back to his prime days and lift the team to a Stanley Cup. And before we get into it, what Tuukka Rask did to go see his family during this whole quarantine and bubble life, it was the right move for Tuukka Rask. It was the right move 100%, and if you have a problem with that, then you're very selfish. Vasilevsky has a 1.91 goals against average and a 931 save percentage. The guy is proving why he's in the Vezina talks every single season, and he is finally proving that he can perform in the playoffs under stress. Because this is a stressful time for the Bolts. They have not made it to the Eastern Conference Finals in a couple of years, and they haven't been in the finals since 15. The Bolts need to win a cup. With this team and what they've done in previous seasons, they need to win a Stanley Cup. The Bolts look like a very strong team. Bruins, it's been real, we'll see you next season. The Colorado Avalanche and the Dallas Stars has provided probably the most entertaining series in my opinion. The Stars have a 3-2 series lead. With the win last night, the Avalanche force a Game 6. The Stars have a chance to go to the Conference Finals for the 3rd time in 20 years and the 1st time since 2008. The Stars are clicking offensively on all cylinders, and we really haven't seen that the last couple of playoff seasons. It's funny because only recently it's been Sagan and Ben helping the offense, but other than that, it's been mostly the depth players and the defense. Their defense core has 36 points this playoffs. 36! Zook! Sprinkle in a little depth with Joe Pavelski, who's a big playoff performer. We've known that from his time in San Jose. One of the best deflectors in the NHL. And you have Alexander Radulov, who is known to be a playoff performer as well. As last night was a different story, as Ben Bishop gets a surprise nod in net for Game 5 for Dallas, as he has been deemed unfit to play in most of these playoffs. And already right off the bat, you're up 3-1 against a very high offensive team in the Colorado Avalanche. I would be rolling with my rock, who I've been rolling with these whole playoffs, and that's Anton Khudobin. But let's see what happens. It's alright, Ben Bishop has been known to win big playoff games. He's a good playoff goaltender. He's a good goaltender in general. Let's see what happens. And boom. 15 minutes into the game, the Avalanche score 4 goals. And are up 5-0 at the end of the first period. They eventually only go on to score 1 more goal and win 6-3. However, if you're Dallas, that kind of sucks, because you had a chance to wrap up the series, and then you get an egg laid on you in the first period. I would have rolled the Khudobin. I really would have, because Colorado has the firepower to be able to force 7 and even win 7 against Dallas. Actually, last night was Michael Hutchinson. However, with their starting goaltender really out, and you have to battle between Francois and Hutchinson, if you're Dallas, you're gonna score goals. You need to keep the puck out of your own net, or you're going to end up losing in 7. Moving on to the Philadelphia Flyers and the New York Islanders. One of the better second rounds again this series, in my opinion. The Islanders have a chance to go back to the Eastern Conference Finals since they won the Stanley Cup. Game 5 tonight, and the Islanders look amazing. They really do. The Islanders have looked dominant for the 2nd consecutive series and have a chance to send Philly home packing tonight. With a 3-1 series lead, Barry Trotz said he doesn't want the Islanders to get away from their gameplay. He basically said that Game 4 was, in his opinion, the worst he's seen the team play this series, and if I'm a coach, I would say that too. That would really motivate my boys to be better for Game 5 tonight. The Flyers' top guys just aren't getting it done, and you have to give the Islanders most of the credit. The Islanders have only given up 22 goals in 13 games this playoffs. 22 goals! That's incredible! And at the end of the season, before the pause, their trouble was scoring goals while not giving up goals. They weren't giving up goals, but they weren't scoring goals either. And boy, has this playoffs been different. Anthony Beauvillier, 11 points in 13 playoff games. Josh Bailey leads the series in points. And the addition of John Gabriel Pajot, it might be one of the best trade deadline acquisitions we have seen, not only from Lou Lamoriello, but from general managers over the last couple of seasons. By the way, I just talked about Vasilevsky's stats. Let's talk about Semyon Varlamov's stats. He's 9-2 with a 1.69 goals against average and a .935 save percentage. Oh, and he's also got 2 goose eggs. This is the best I've seen Varlamov play since he was a Washington Capital. Elimination games galore as we move on to the Golden Knights and Vancouver Canucks series. Game 5 is tonight with Vancouver down 3-1. The Golden Knights have a chance to wrap it up and punch their ticket to the Western Conference Final for only their second time in their 3-year history. It's funny because I feel like Vancouver has enough to beat Vegas, but Vegas is way too deep, man. They have 2 sick, reliable goaltenders on their roster in Marc-Andre Fleury and Robin Lehner. I'll talk a little bit more about the Marc-Andre Fleury saga in a little bit, but Robin Lehner has been their rocket in net. Marc-Andre Fleury looked good on Sunday night. He was good when he needed to be, and Vegas' goal scoring was off the charts. Max Pacioretty, who led the team in scoring during the regular season, picked up right where he left off for this postseason. Patches leads the series with 5 goals, and with the way Vegas can put up goals and shut you down, they're a scary team. The Canucks are a young team. They make a lot of young mistakes, and it's really magnified during the playoffs. But if you're a Canucks fan, you gotta be happy with how this turned out. And you still have a chance to win the series. You're only down 3-1. It's been done before. If you're the Canucks, just keep playing like how you've been playing. Maybe buckle it up a little more defensively. And you could make a run this series and possibly force 7 against Vegas. Now with all the recaps of the games done, let's take a look at my playoff bracket. Yeah, not good. It's funny because I watch Eastern Conference all the time and I couldn't get any of it right. Meanwhile, my West is looking pretty good right now. Pretty good. Let's get into some stories around the NHL. The Great 8 makes history again. Alexander Ovechkin will be on the cover of EA Sports NHL 21. It's set to drop on current consoles October 16th. Ovi is not only the second player to make a second appearance on an EA NHL cover. He appeared on the game in 2007 and now again in 2021. The only 2-time cover athlete for NHL has been Jonathan Toews, who made his appearance on the NHL in 2011, and he was also the NHL in 2016. And boy, would that cover look nice with Patrick Kane next to him, man. Like, look at this. That's a sick... I want that as a poster. I want that as a poster. Not even a game cover. I want that as a poster. Quick chip and chase. Nathan MacKinnon sets franchise record for points in consecutive playoff games with 13. 13 straight games this guy scored a point. He is one of only 4 players to ever do it for 13 or more consecutive games. Joining the company of Bobby Orr, Bless the Mess Mark Messier, the Messiah, and the leader who has 18 straight playoff games with a point, and Brian Trottier. Moving on to our second story, Marc-Andre Fleury, and the big scandal on Twitter with his agent. Marc-Andre Fleury is a 3-time Stanley Cup champion. His agent, Alan Walsh, did not like the Vegas Golden Knights putting a 3-time Stanley Cup champion on the bench, as Robin Lehner has been their rock throughout the postseason. When Flower was asked about it, he said Lehner and him just joked around about it, really. And his agent cares for his players, but he may have been over the top with the tweet. Fleury just wants it to be put behind him and move on. Since then, the tweet has been deleted. Now, from the team standpoint, I would completely ignore Alan Walsh. Robin Lehner has been your rock and has been playing out of his mind this playoffs. It's proved now for 2 seasons that Robin Lehner is a starting goaltender in the National Hockey League, and I think it's about time he gets paid for that. So, if you're Vegas, who do you go with in Game 5? By the way, this isn't the first time Fluerys been benched for another goaltender in the Stanley Cup playoffs. He's won 2 of those rings as a backup. We'll move on to the third story, and it's funny because all the stories I really wrote today were about the Metropolitan Division. This week, Todd Reirden was fired by the Washington Capitals. Now, the Caps, to me, have kind of been a confusing team in their last couple of seasons after their Stanley Cup win. The way the lineup was stacked and the coaching staff on the bench for Washington in 2018 when they won the Cup, it was absolutely electric. Sure, they can't keep every player from that year, and of course that probably might not even work for the next season. That might not be the right formula, but you could have gotten your coach back, right? If I'm owner Ted Leonsis and GM Brian McClellan, I would have done everything in my power to try to negotiate and re-sign Barry Trotz. The guy was just the right formula for the Capitals. Look what he's doing with the Islanders. Like, no shock on the Islanders, but they were never a good defensive team. The way the forwards played defense, in a way, just was not there at all. It was almost non-existent when Tavares was there. Barry Trotz is one of the best coaches we will ever see, and I cannot believe Ted Leonsis and Brian McClellan did not try to re-sign him. Now, for the Capitals' coaching situation now, there's Laviolette, there's Gerard Gallant, Mike Babcock's available. I have no idea who they're going to sign. And whoever they do, they have to come in and succeed immediately. Entering next season, Ovi's going to be 35 with 1 year left on his contract. We know what he can give you. He'll give you 40, 50 goals a year. We know that. Backstrom will be 33, TJ Oshie's going to be 34, and John Carlson, coming off a Norris candidate season, will be 30 years old. Can John Carlson duplicate what he did last season? He's 30 years old and probably the only reliable defenseman on the back end. Sure, you have Nick Jensen, you have Radko Gudas, but John Carlson is the best defenseman on that blue line, and he's now entering his 30s. And what the hell's going on with the goalie situation? Holtby looks like he's going in the free agency. If I'm Washington, I'm trying to get Holtby back. I'm not so confident that Ilya Samsonov is going to be able to carry my team throughout a 82-game season, however long it's going to be this season. I don't know if he's going to be able to carry my team and then succeed in the playoffs. He's never done it before. He's a young-ish kid. He's not that young. I believe he's 25. So is he going to be able to be the #1 goaltender? Correction on that Samsonov. He's 23. That's young. The Capitals will be a very interesting team to watch throughout this upcoming season. I'm just excited to see Ovechkin play. The Arizona Coyotes violated the NHL's combine testing policy. Basically means that the Coyotes were combine testing players physically, and you're just basically not allowed to do that. They were doing it way too early. You're only supposed to do that at the NHL combine. And I'm pretty sure they got caught even before the COVID virus spread and before the cancellation of hockey. So, yeah, no excuses there. But this is where it gets interesting. After a hearing with Gary Bettman on August 6th, the NHL deemed responsible that the Coyotes will forfeit their second-round pick this season and their first-round pick next season. And if you're putting 2 and 2 together, you're kind of getting where I'm at. They do not have a first-round pick this year or next year because this year's first-round pick is with the New Jersey Devils because of the Taylor Hall deal. Is Taylor Hall going to resign? No idea. Now they don't have any draft stock this year at all. They don't have a pick in the first 3 rounds. The 3rd round pick this year was traded to the Avalanche for Carl Soderberg, which was actually a pretty good trade for Arizona. But that Taylor Hall trade, is he going to re-sign now? Arizona's kind of screwed in a way because they don't have any draft picks in the first 3 rounds this season. Very sticky situation out there in Biz Nasty land. Moving on now to some injuries. Vladimir Tarasenko has his 3rd surgery on his shoulder. In October of 2019, he had surgery on the same shoulder, missing 61 regular season games. This is very concerning for the Blues and Tarasenko. 3rd time his left shoulder has been through surgery. And Tarasenko has 3 years left at $7.5 million a season. Now, for Tarasenko, 7.5 is a very good deal, but a healthy Tarasenko. He has a no-trade clause, too. If you're Doug Armstrong, the general manager of the Blues, you have 7.5 of basically dead space if Tarasenko can't play next season. This could be brutal for the Blues, because they just came off a season where, yeah, they had a really good regular season, the pause happened, you went into the playoffs now, in the bubble, and it kind of sucked. Robbie Fabry re-signs in Detroit at a 2-year deal for $2.95 million a season. Stanley Cup champion Chad Ruhwedel re-signs in Pittsburgh at a 2-year, $750,000 AAV. Last week, there was a huge trade, and the playoffs aren't even done. A week after the Penguins were eliminated, they acquired Kasperi Kapanen from the Toronto Maple Leafs. Here's the whole trade breakdown. As you can see, Jesper Lindgren and Pontus Aberg go on to the Pittsburgh Penguins as the Maple Leafs acquire the 2020 first-round pick of Pittsburgh, which is 15th overall, by the way, David Warsofsky, Evan Rodriguez, and Philip Hallander. We're going to wrap up every show by bringing you a This Day in Hockey History brought to you by the Hockey Hall of Fame. Today is Tuesday, September 1st, 2020. However, this was supposed to be yesterday's video, so we're going to be looking at August 31st, 1995. We just talked about the Penguins making a trade, and I can't go an episode, especially the first episode, without talking about my New York Rangers, so let's talk about it. In 1995, August 31st, the New York Rangers and Pittsburgh Penguins made a trade. The New York Rangers sent over Peter Nedved to the Pittsburgh Penguins along with Sergei Zubov in exchange for Luc Robitaille and Ulf Samuelsson. This trade did not really work out for the Rangers at all. Nedved exploded with Mario Lemieux and had 99 points in the 95-96 season, the year following the trade. He had 45 goals and he had a total of 20 playoff points. Zubov had 15 points in 18 games in the postseason. Luc Robitaille only had 1 goal in 11 playoff games for the Rangers. Ulf Samuelsson was a pretty solid addition for the back end for the New York Rangers. Why am I talking about the playoffs so much? After 9 months this trade was made, the Rangers and Penguins meet in the second round of the Stanley Cup playoffs. And the Penguins spanked the Rangers in 5 games. Penguins eventually lost the Eastern Conference Finals in 7 games to the Florida Panthers. It's actually tough to believe that the Panthers were able to take down Lemieux, Yager, and the Penguins that year. We're going to wrap up today's show. I want to thank everyone for watching. Please leave a like if you enjoyed. We're going to be doing this every week. I hope you guys liked it. I hope you guys stay tuned. And I'll see you guys later.